Today we look at one of my own games, playing Chen in this mid to high divine level up game. And this game was actually played originally on stream, on my Monday stream. So I'm going to put a link to the VOD of that game in the description so you can see the game live if you want to. But this is me going over the game, analyzing my own mistakes, and sort of trying to figure out how I could have played this better, as well as I'm going to be talking a bit about sort of the mental game, about how to avoid toxicity, how to deal with toxic teammates, because there's going to be quite a bit of conflict here on our team. So right away we lose the runes, but that's kind of normal here. We're playing against this fairly strong lane, Scarab Mage and Mars, so this is a lane that's going to be quite tough for us, with Drow Range obviously not being the strongest laner. She's a bit stronger than she used to be in the past, but still she's quite vulnerable to being run at, and run at us they will. The one thing that we have going for us is we have better sustain. So we have actually went for the Divine Favor aura here, which I'm not sure is actually the right call here. I think maybe I should have gone here for Penitence, just because we already have kind of better sustain, but the problem is that they can just kill us. Once they have like level 2 or 3, they can just easily kill either myself or the Drow Ranger. So I think maybe I should have just gone for the Penitence, just to be able to fight better directly. And obviously if you have this slow from Penitence plus a slow from the Frost Arrows, that stacks up quite nicely. Here you can see a smart move from Scarab Mage. Is going to block this camp with his body, but he hasn't blocked the actually more important camp, which is the small camp. So I just go here, check if this camp has actually spawned, because there might have been a ward here blocking this. I've actually placed a sentry ward here, because we saw them at the start a little bit here. And actually, let me talk about this ward for a bit here. We saw them at the start. We thought they might have put a ward somewhere like here. And this ward is nice because it catches wards that are up here, but it also catches wards that are down here. So it's like a reasonable position to de-ward, but we didn't find anything. So this ward was wasted. Let's actually go back here a slight bit and look at my first big mistake of this game. So the situation is I'm chasing the Scarab Mage and I can actually trade better than him. He's going to have to use a lot of mana to actually trade with me, because his right clicks are weaker than mine. I have this Blightstone here. I just have naturally more regen because I'm a Chen. I have this Divine Favor aura. So I can trade quite well with him. He has to flee here. But now he's inside the wave and actually, unfortunately, aggro this range group. This was kind of on the edge here, but I did aggro this creep, and what I have to do now is just get away here, because they have a full wave here, 3 melee creeps, a range creep. We only have this 1 range creep, so this is going to die very soon, and once it does, I need to be away from here. But I don't pay enough attention to the creep equilibrium here, and I just want to get in like a hit or 2 on this Scarab Mage. So I do that. Taking a lot of damage from this range creep, so I get this 1 hit here, but now because the creep died, the entire wave is now chasing me, so I'm trying to lose aggro from this, but it's not really working. So what I should have done now is just run up here, accept that the wave is going to be under the tower, and maybe this is even going to lose aggro when I go through these trees and the creeps lose vision of me. But instead of kind of panic and try to kind of lose vision down here, so the creeps won't go through here, but will meet up somewhere like here, and the Drow's gonna have a good equilibrium, but it doesn't work. They keep vision of me, and even Drow comes down here to help me, and so they spear me here. I take a bunch of damage. I don't die here yet, but I'm very low, and it's kind of like a really bad position, and you know, at this point, you know, Drow sort of starts cussing me out and blaming me, and it's like, yes, it's obviously a mistake, and I acknowledge it right away. But thing is, like, if your teammates make a mistake and they acknowledge it's a mistake, they know it's a mistake, then, you know, cursing at them for that isn't gonna help. You know, it's not gonna make me play better if there's Drow's berating me. So anyway, I'm in fear. I try to like do something, but the Scarlet Mage is not level 2, so he's a lot stronger than me without a creep. So I actually find this Hill Troll Priest, which I saw earlier. I'm gonna try to heal myself here with this Hill Troll Priest, but there's too much damage coming on. Also, another big mistake here is I'm not actually, I don't actually have a Tango running. So if I actually had Tango running here, maybe I survive this, but as it is, I actually feed first blood, and yeah, that's really, really bad. So this first couple of minutes were not exactly played well by me, so this is a huge mistake. And now also Drow Ranger makes the next mistake. So he's just standing there rather aggressively and gets speared in there, and now dies. He's taking a lot of like unnecessary damage, and so now this lane is quite a disaster. We're down 1 and 2, and a bit of a mistake if a Scarlet Mage takes unnecessary damage here from the tower. Actually consumes one of his fairy fires. Make sure he survives. So now we're down 2 deaths, and actually the enemy team also got another kill. Where did they get a kill? They also get a kill in mid lane, so the bottom lane is going quite well for us, but top and mid are kind of a disaster so far. So I now take the Centaur Corsair, which usually is not the best creep, but this lane is very much focused on magic damage, so this is actually kind of decent. Meanwhile, I heal up with my Hill Troll Priest. This is a very valuable creep. Actually has a very strong mana aura. So this is basically like a level 5 Crystal Maiden aura, except of course it's not global. So this is really powerful sustain tool, and you can just have it heal itself up. And you see he's not really using mana. Like he's constantly healing, but still his mana just keeps being high. So this has basically infinite mana, this creep. And now here, this engagement, let's go back a little bit here. So Drow Ranger is going to the left here. That's very bad. Like, she knows that Skyrath is on the right. She's seen him, he's battled with me, and being on the right here means being closer to the tower. So this is very bad positioning here from her. She should be on the right here, where she can actually hit back against the Skyrath, and where she's closer to her tower. But instead she's on the left, and it's being run down here. And you know, at this point, Drow was once again flaming me, but honestly, I can't do anything here. Like, even if I'm here, like, what am I supposed to do? I can like hit this guy or this guy a couple of times and make them pay like a slightly higher price for their kill, but as long as Drow's positioning herself like that, that kill is gonna happen. And here I just managed to be in time to do some sort of half pull here. I get the range creep, which is quite good, but now the enemy team comes to contest here, and this is actually fine. Like, this is a good move so far. This gives Drow some alone time with the creeps, allows it to push the wave a little bit, because there's 2 waves that are coming in. Drow's getting fairly safe farm right now, with the enemy team coming to contest me here. But now I see both enemy heroes coming in here. So with this, I could possibly try to snipe this courier. That would be like a possibility. Or I can like run up here and get to safety. But instead, I very stupidly just stubbornly run past this Mars, and yeah, I can see what happens next. It's not going to work out, so I just die here. They have so much burst damage, and I really underestimated that. So I have to really, really be very careful about that Mars. I basically can never walk next to him. Whenever you can like speed me next to him, it's just going to be disaster. Here, Drow makes the next mistake. Instead of running towards this next creep wave, she runs back towards the tower, and with spear almost up. Actually, he's gonna have spear once he has soling, but he don't even need spear, so he just dies here. Skyrath using a lot of mangoes here to win this lane, and it's going really successfully so far for them. So we just keep dying here over and over again, but it's important not to get discouraged here. You just have to keep playing this lane. There's no point really in leaving this lane at this point, because yes, we're dying, but it's also costing them quite a bit of resource in terms of mana and HP and so on. Drow didn't have TP cooldown yet, so I just recalled her to get a delay a bit faster. And now I'm just trying to get some new creeps. Unfortunately here this is always something you have to keep a close eye on. If your creeps just walk into all these piercing damage creeps, they're just gonna die instantly. So what I should have done here, I should have hit this creep camp with my centaur, standing back, pulled this out, and then taken over this Global Foreman. But instead here, I lose my centaur Corsair, which is not that bad because there's another one here. So I just want to try to harass the Skywrath Mage. He has very low armor, so it's a lot more useful to hit him rather than the Mars. Also, he's a ranged hero, so not going to have damage block. And Drow Ranger once again being a bit of trouble, but now she's actually positioning herself quite well. She's here in a position where she can't be speared to a tree. So if Mars is going to use a spear, yes, he's going to hit her, but it's just going to put her further away from him and closer to the safety of the tower. So this is not gonna be a good position for them. Also, this Skyra is not really paying attention to his own safety. I can just come in here with my own right clicks, with my Blightstone, and I actually get a kill off on him here. And you see the spear comes in, but it's just not nearly enough to kill this Drow Ranger. Even the courier here moving in. I get the courier kill, unfortunately, after it's delivered the item. So that's the chainmail here. And Mars makes its way away. But still, it's a big win. You have to look for these kinds of wins, especially in lanes where you're losing. Losing a lane doesn't mean that you can never fight. It just means you have to be more judicious about which fight you take. And there they were clearly overextending, so we managed to punish them for that. Double. At this point I'm fairly close to level 5, so I try to do this Center Conqueror. Of course, getting level 5 is very important, gives you much stronger creeps. But unfortunately, while I'm doing this, Mars actually very smartly wraps around here and catches Drow Ranger off guard. And she dies again. And honestly, there's nothing I could have done there. Like if I'm there next to her, she's gonna die just as fast. Like maybe possibly get a counter kill on Mars, but probably not. And the thing is, I need to let this Drow have some solo experience. I can't just like stand behind her all the time, because then he's never gonna catch up in experience. So I have to leave this lane a little bit here. We've just seen the Skywrath Mage in mid lane. So I'm actually gonna leave Drow alone for a little bit. She's only now level 5. Needs some alone time to catch up. So where do I go from here? I'm actually just gonna pay a visit to this these camps here, because I've already seen that there's a big satyr here, so I can't actually take this over. I want to find some sort of a centaur or Hellblazer Smash or something like that, and maybe I can find this here. So I go down here, place actually a ward. This is a great ward. This kind of ward is very obvious on the ice spot, but this one is a bit harder to deward. Actually find Terrorblade farming here. Terrorblade has also had not the best lane here. You can see he's doing better than Drow, a lot better than Drow, but still he can't really stand up very well to this Titan. The Titan actually taking out the tower down here. So I want to distract this Terrorblade. I want to take this creep from him and kill his illusion here, and I also take the big creep, so we're sharing experience for that, but I get a lot of gold. And so this move here is of course quite risky. I might die here, but the thing is, I need to create some space for Drow Ranger. Drow Ranger is a really bad start. Like, she's actually so far down the net worth. She actually has less net worth than I do. So she needs some time to catch up. I need to somehow create space for her, and I do this by just going in here once again and poking this Terrorblade, trying to provoke some sort of reaction, even getting this guy quite low, forcing him to use his wand. But now I have to back off. I see lots of people coming in thanks to my ward. So I can see all this. We'll see this much later without the ward. So they're chasing me. And I can't run here because the arena is here, very well placed by Mars, but I can turn around here and actually hit him, forcing him to run back. and you can see everyone is coming in, the 4 enemy heroes coming in, and eventually they're gonna kill me here. But, you know, that's fine. Even see Rubik now in trouble, and Rubik is gonna die here. Thanks to the Venge and the Drow Ranger. So we had 1 rotation here with the Venge coming in, but they committed 4 heroes for this, and it's even 1 vs 1 trade. So this is actually great for us. Drow has now managed to catch up a little bit here in gold and experience. She's level 6 now, which it makes a huge difference. And I'm actually, while I was walking back to lane, I had these creeps nearby, provide auras for her. But now I'm gonna head into the enemy triangle once again, because there's no good creeps here to take. I see this Revolving Ripper here, which is a decent creep to take. So I go up here, but I actually don't convert the creep from down here, which I could do. But if they have vision of that, then this is going to give away my ward, which I don't want to do. This is a really valuable ward, and I want to keep it around. So I take this Revolving Ripper, but now Rubik comes in, so I'm just going to hit him with Penitence, and with actually not using my medallion, which I should have done. So I have to be a bit more conscious about medallion usage. If I used medallion here earlier, this is a much easier kill. He would already be dead now. As I just have to run him down. And actually here, in this situation, in the game, I thought this actually was Drow Ranger, because the models look kind of similar. So I actually thought that this was my carry here trying to help me out, rather than just the position 4. So I was kind of in this mode of I have to save Drow Ranger here, but yeah, I actually even used my Hand of God, which was a big mistake. Doesn't save her, and yeah, this wasn't that great, but we actually get a counter kill here with the suits coming in. Trying to help out, but not really decisive. So we trade 1 for 1, which is fine. And now I come in here back again, which is a bit too greedy. Like, this is pushing it really. So yeah, I will just back off here, and at this point I'm trying to head for a mech. But it turns out the Thailander is also going for mech, so at some point we actually notice this. I think it's Thailander who notices this, and decide that it's going to be Thailander is going for the mech, and I'm gonna go for something else. Meanwhile here, Drow Ranger is gonna die once again. So go for the counter kill here, and we focus Skywrath Mage because he's more vulnerable. Mars immediately peace out, and here Venge makes a pretty big mistake. She goes for the magic missile here instead of the swap. This is easily in range. You could have swapped here, but as it is the magic missile, it's just too late, so it actually makes it out. And now I make another mistake here. I actually run into these March of the Machine. I just didn't really realize how much damage I was taking, and so I just died to this. Really stupid. Yeah, that was really dumb. Now that I'm level 6 and have some pretty good creeps, we're actually in a pretty good situation. Zeus is also quite strong at this stage of the game. We managed to run into a Vault Rubik here, kill him off, even find the ward here, so it's great. And now we just go for this mid push. So in these kinds of pushes, you want to make sure that you're putting frost armor on everyone, and then just hitting the tower. As long as there's no tinker coming in, it's fine. I tank a bit here with my Hellblade Smasher with the double armor here from Medallion plus the Ogre Frost Mage, and we take down this tower quite nicely. Unfortunately, the creeps get the tower last hit, which is quite bad, but what are you gonna do? So we try to invade this triangle, see what's up here, and now we decide to go for this top tier 1 tower, which is a bit risky. This is not the easiest tower to push, but it's actually a reasonably worthwhile tower to push. So unlike this tower down here, this tower is completely worthless. This tower doesn't control any territory. Like, there's no really nearby creep came into this controls. This tower is just doesn't matter. But this tower up here is actually kind of important because it helps control access to Roshan. So if you're the Dire, taking this offlane tower is actually kind of important. By the way, I really like this item build from Zeus. except for the lack of null talismans. I think this should be null talismans. But I like this ether lens into Yule Scepter build. Very powerful, good defensive option here. The extra range helps a lot. And it's just nice, smooth build up. You can go for mana boots first, disassemble into ether lens. Yule Scepter has some great components. And this gives you plenty of mana regen to spam out your spells as Zeus. And then you can go into things like Boots of Travel and the Aghanim's. I think this is a great build. Right now our teammates want to do some sort of pushing in top lane, but they've already used the Ravage, so not going to be easy pushing against this Tinker. I still come along here to see what we can do. And to catch this Tinker out. Problem, of course, Tinker is just really farm right now. He has Wood Travel, he has Blink Dagger already, he has an Ether Lens. He's not going to be easy to catch. But here in this position, I think I should have just like stayed here with the Revolving Ripper and used the Tornado. Instead, just come in here, poke in here, and I want to be very mindful of this Mars. So once I get caught in the arena, I very importantly don't panic, just hit what I can here and do what I can with my creep. So we actually get this kill on Mars and we're completely fine. Like, this arena didn't do anything. It just forced us to stay here, but we were fine with staying here anyway. It's because we didn't panic and we played our cards well, so we actually get 2 kills and losing only 1 so far. So good fight here for us, and now we should be going for this tower. Instead, Titan and I decided to chase this Skyrath Mage, which is a big mistake here. He's quite fast, obviously, and it's close to his tower. The Tinker is still alive. So this is a terrible choice, also terribly coming in here from behind. So we actually get the Skyrath Mage here, but I die. And Titan makes it out of here. I actually fight a bit with my creeps. That's really brain dead. I should have been paying attention to my creeps, but I wasn't. So I lose 2 of them before I finally realize I need to run away. And this Ogre Frostbite is also gonna die. Only 1 survivor here. So it kind of was a 1-for-1 trade, but also it means we don't get this tower. And I lose most of my creeps, so that was really bad. Just don't go for these deep chase specialist Chen. Focus on the objective, that's much more important. You know that the time is kind of against us. In a late game, Terrorblade is going to outscale our Drow. So we're gonna find fights as long as we have Ravage. So we go for the smoke. Drow pushes out the lane, fine. I actually take over this set of Tormentor on the side. And we're looking for some sort of kill here. We find Rubik. And that's a nice, quick, easy kill. And we go a bit deeper here, try to find something more, but this is actually kind of risky. We can't go for these slow fights where Tinker just keeps out spamming us. We actually have to find decisive, quick kills and then get out. So as it is, we only trade a support for support, so not the best exchange here. The enemy team wants to push our mid tower, but Venge actually goes for a swap and stuns the creep, so not the ideal start to the fight. And at this point, we have all our heroes nearby here except for Tidehunter. I should actually be recalling this Tide, especially since he has Ravage available. So that is a pretty big mistake from me. But at least I managed to not panic in this arena and survive here thanks to my Glimmer Cape and Magic Wand and my ultimate. So I managed to get out of here. And right now this Terrorblade is massively overcommitted. So he doesn't manage to kill off the Zeus. And he tries to go ever deeper and get some sort of kill. And Zeus eventually dies, but so does the Terrorblade. And now our Titan is coming in. And Titan now is being spam pinged. They're telling him to ravage, and someone is like cursing him for not ravaging enough. But honestly, this is kind of like a dodgy ravage. Like, sure, you could ravage here. You're gonna hit these 2 guys, not these 2. But the problem is that you have this Rubik who's far enough away that if Thunder Ravage is here, there's a good chance that Rubik is going to steal the Ravage. Honestly, ravaging these two is not really going to do that much. It's not great in Ravage right now. Like maybe you can Ravage here and maybe hit everyone, but it's kind of like very close on the edge here. Once you get unstunned here. Now you can Ravage again, but it's kind of like a dodgy Ravage, and you get the Sinker anyway. So I'm actually quite happy with Sign for holding the Ravage. This is actually a fine decision here, but someone on the team doesn't think so. So they're kind of spamming him out and pinging him. And the thing is, this guy is, you know, a divine level player. Chances are he knows that Ravage is a pretty good ability, that it's a good ability to cast in team fights. And, you know, we're all here in solo queue, we're all roughly the same MMR. That means probably we are all roughly the same level of play here. And given the fact that this guy plays Tidehunter, there's a pretty good chance that he's actually the best Tidehunter player in this game. So you don't need to tell this guy that he should be casting Ravage. Like, he knows what Ravage does, he knows that Ravage is a good ability, he knows getting off a good Ravage in teamfights is great. And, you know, blaming him for not casting Ravage is not going to help him find better Ravages. It's only going to make him more self-conscious. It's going to make him feel worse about his play. He's going to feel less self-confident, and that will only make him play worse. So that's like the worst thing you can do, is, you know, blame your teammates for these kinds of things. Like, maybe you can give like constructive criticism. Maybe you can tell him something like, you know, you don't need to look for the perfect Ravage. Getting like a decent Ravage is good enough. Something like that. You can say that, and if your teammates are willing to accept that sort of constructive criticism, that's fine. But just spam pinging him and flaming him is not gonna make him play better. Drow is now farming quite well. She's slowly catching up. And notice here, I'm not doing this creep camp. I could easily do these ancient creeps, but I'm not, because Drow needs to farm. So instead, I'm just sort of hanging around. It's kind of an awkward position because Zeus is farming down here, Drow is farming here, so I don't have any place to farm or really to push. So I'm just sort of hanging out here in between the two of them, ready to assist either one if they're gone on. But Zeus decides to actually leave the bottom lane, not sure exactly why. So I can take this farm down here, which is very safe. So I do that, and that's always the way of things as a 5. You take the farm no one else wants to take, and I'm not sure, I think Zeus just made a mistake. He should just stay down here, but he didn't, so I'm just going to take this farm. And not sure exactly what my next item is going to be. So I've gone for Tranquils because we're not going to upgrade to Griefs. And then I was sort of thinking about various different items. So this Lotus Orb is a decent item here. Can dispel the silence from Skyrath Mage, which is quite useful. But it's not that great actually, so eventually I decide against that item. We go for another smoke here, and I managed to run into this Rubik a bit awkwardly here, but with our Tidehunter jumping in here, using his Ravage, Zeus using his ultimate, that's an easy double kill. And now we can... Actually, we should have glyphed this tower. We have glyph available here, but that's a pretty big mistake. None of us really realizing we had glyph, so we could have definitely saved that tower and denied it. But as it is, we can now take down this tier 2 tower, or at least try to. Actually, I think it would have been better to go for Roshan. I think we could have done Roshan quite quickly there, with just Drow doing so much damage, and with the medallion here, and penitence, and the armor reduction from Vengeful, that would have actually been quite a fast Roshan. The push comes in, I'm using my tornado to just see what's up here, and we find Skyrath Mage, a nice jump forward here from Tidehunter, so we get that kill. And now with Terrorblade coming in, I should have Glimmer Caped the Zeus earlier, but he survives anyway, so it's fine. Nice swap here from Venge, killing the Tinker. And yeah, this is just, I think that them just really mishandling this kind of push. Try to go jump forward here, but that's not really going to happen. Venge sees if we can swap someone, but it's not going to happen, so we just take these 3 kills, especially 2 big cores being killed, and now we can just push in. Notice all of my creeps are alive. I'm taking good care of my creeps here. I don't want them to just die here to the multi-shot damage from the tower, so I'm pulling them back when they use the glyph, and now I'm putting them back in there. Don't have that much AoE damage here with Tinker dead, so the only thing I have to avoid is Mars, so I don't want to run these creeps close to Mars, but as long as Mars is not nearby, I don't actually have much AoE damage here, so I can just easily focus down these buildings. My creeps contribute a lot of damage here. So we take down these lane of racks, it's 28 minutes in, and we are now 7k ahead, so we're in firm control of this game, but as you can see from down here, this game is far from over. So I just take over, nice extra creep here, replace someone that died earlier, but now Mars manages to jump in here and initiate on a Zeus. And honestly, this is not a fight we want to take. It's just really awkward, he's already dead, so we should have just backed off here, which we do for now. But then we're kind of sticking around here. I'm farming this rather greedily here, and Adventurous Spirit actually gets swapped by the Rubik. I try to come in here, which I shouldn't have done. You just have to cut your losses here. And yeah, I try to run here, but I can't. They kill me, and Drow coming in here, putting some arrows there, that's fine, but this is not fine. Father jumps in here. They're 2 against 5. This is never going to work. Like, maybe he can kill his Tinker, but actually turns out he can't. But even if it kills Tinker, they're still definitely going to lose this fight, and Drow very wisely actually backs off. Doesn't go in after him. So we just lost 4 people for nothing, and huge gold swing here. So most of that advantage we just got from the high ground push we just threw away here. I think a big part of the reason why we're so uncoordinated is the kind of toxicity that's going on in this game. There's a lot of blame going around here, and I'm trying not to contribute to that. So even though at some point I've been flamed by the Drow, I don't really fire back there. It's just not very helpful. What so often happens is you get into this defensive mindset where, you know, Drow is blaming me for my mistakes, and that oftentimes sort of leads to, you know, me then blaming Drow for mistakes that she made, and she gets defensive and tries to find even more mistakes that I made, and we get into this very unproductive space where it's just about finding mistakes that our teammates made rather than actually playing together with them. So I'm making the conscious choice not to participate in this blame game, and at least sort of not adding fuel to the fire here. Diffusing this kind of situations is kind of hard, and honestly I'm not that good at this sort of social interaction, mental game and so on. But at least what I can do is not make things worse. Now we find Terrorblades here, and same thing talked about earlier. This Talent sort of wants to overcompensate for not using Ravage enough earlier. So now he goes in here. We have actually no vision here. We have no idea how many people are there. I guess we see the Rubiks down here, but like this is a blind Ravage. This is so risky. We have no idea what's actually gonna hit, and like this guy even had BKB. Didn't even use BKB there to dodge the Ravage. So this is just not a good initiation. Boundary comes in here, follows the tide with her BKB, but there's no real way I can actually really come in here and save this fight. Actually stay here too long. I should have backed off earlier. But now I realize I have to run, but it's too late. I tried to save this old Glimmer Cape, but it's not really gonna work. So I die, and now this lead we had earlier is completely gone. And we still have like one lane up, that's great, but in terms of net worth, we're now even. And as I said earlier, they have the better late game, so this game is actually looking kind of bad right now. So with all the spam coming with Zeus, it's definitely gonna help. Terrorblade gets off a decent thunder here, so they get this tower, but now they have to back off because they're actually quite low. And this is actually a brilliant move that Venge does here. He's very, very low, but still, just tossing this Terrorblade into the middle of everyone. He has BKB, he has Aegis, but still, this is a move that's going to work out great. And very importantly, she has buyback here. And like, when she goes in here, I think she's already reckoning on using the buyback. That's like the plan all along. So we get this Terrorblade really low, and he wants to just create some distance here because he doesn't want to die too close to us. Saves the BKB for his second life, but thanks to the buyback from Venge, she's in here and she can swap in case he goes for a TP here, which is exactly what happens here. That's one of the big strengths of Venge, that she can actually interrupt a BKB TP. So we actually get the big kill here on Terrorblade, thanks to Venge's brilliant play with the swap into the buyback. TB is still dead, so we go for the push. I have kind of this ragtag army of creeps, not the best ones, but I'd rather keep them alive here, not run them into the Martian machines. There's one here, but that's okay. We get the tower and keep staying around here. I want to take over one of these melee creeps, ideally. So thanks to 4 staffs here and Glimmer Capes, we save the Venge. And we can just keep focusing this tower. We have a lot of range here thanks to the telescope, as well as the Vengeful Aura, and just Drow as a Hurricane Pike. So we just siege this base here and we will be able to take down this melee axe, so that's great. And I went here for the Solar Crest, which is a decent item here. It's ideally you want to have a Solar Crest in a kind of game where you have some sort of frontlining right clicker, like a Life Stealer or a Wraith King or a Luna, some sort of hero like that, or Sven, who benefits a lot from both the armor and the attack speed and the movement speed. But here in this case we have Drow, who of course likes the attack speed, but the armor is not actually that great, because once people are on top of her, a little bit of extra armor is not going to make much of a difference. And for Tide, it's going to make him a lot tankier, but the attack speed doesn't do that much. So it's not the ideal item, but it's still obviously pretty good, and so it does quite well with the physical damage lines that we have. Here I was caught out being a bit too greedy with my warding here, and they actually managed to kill me. And now Venge wants to make up for a brilliant play earlier and just walks in here. I have no earthly idea what she was thinking there. No way in hell this can ever work in her favor. I don't know what that was. Just complete feed there. Not exactly sure what she was thinking. So now we have 2 people dead. But we have still a pretty decent spot here because our lane is pushing in here. They have to defend their ranged drags, so they can't really do too much with these 2 kills. But what they do is go for a smoke, which you actually saw and pinged out. Rounder is still kind of farming a bit greedily there. Gets initiated on here by Mars, but with the BKB she's fine. She can just walk it off. And yeah, the enemy team kind of arriving a bit late there to the party, so this is going quite well for us. I've now picked up a 4-staff, which is just generally a strong support item. Also good here to save people from the Skyrath ultimate, as well as just generally getting away from Terrorblade. Now it's just all about rebuilding creep army, and the Stark Patrolman is not the greatest creep, doesn't do that much honestly. But really what I've always been saying in terms of gen creeps, it's that quantity is more important than quality. It's important just to have like 4 creeps. as many creeps as you can get. And quality is a secondary characteristic, a secondary consideration. Just get as many creeps as you can get, because even the weakest creeps are quite useful, especially since I've gone for the 16 holy persuasion damage talent here. This is generally the better talent in solo queue games, because it's just not that easy to use Divine Favor profitably here. So I'm just going for the damage. In pro games you always see the Divine Favor cooldown talents, because there's more coordination and better usage of Divine Favor. I take this Alpha Wolf here, which obviously the best creep at this stage of the game. The enemy team decides to initiate here onto Tyranitar, obviously not the best target here. He's always going to get off a Ravage here. Problem is just to get stolen. Rubik now has Ravage. That's always a big problem with Ravage, bringing his Rubik. But Terrorblade is committing him very deeply, and thanks to my 4-staff and my Glimmer Cape, I survived for a long time. And these fights just all about using your items properly. It's saving your core, saving yourself. And here I'm gonna save my Zeus with the Glimmer Cape here. And Terrorblade really wants that kill. He goes on me, he actually does get the kill, but he has to commit very deeply for that, so he dies. And I come in here with an ensnare here onto Mars. He breaks free with Flicker, but with Tinker coming in, the Zeus actually gonna die, but Mars is gonna die too. So kind of a very messy fight, and enemy team comes out on top here, but not decisively so. So they get 4 kills for losing 3, so up now K or something, but this is still okay. And notice that I actually kept my creeps alive. All 3 creeps still alive. That's because I'm using my creeps carefully in fights. I don't just send them in blindly. I use them judiciously. I stand back to give auras to my team without losing the creeps, and then I pull them in at the right time. Not just what you see a lot of Chen players do. It's just they see, okay, fight is starting, creeps, go forward and just do your best. And the creeps are just gonna die at this stage of the game. So you have to be much more careful with that and use them smartly. Now I have a pretty good army of creeps. I have Tomato and Potato, as well as the Alpha Wolf and the Dark Troll Summoner. Dark Troll Summoner is not the greatest here, but he's okay. The other 3 creeps are very powerful here. So I'm very happy with this creep army right now. We see Roshan is up, and we can do Roshan so quickly with this lineup. Just watch how fast this Roshan dies. It's like, look at this, this is insane. You know, this is like speedrunning Roshan here. You have so much minus armor here, so much physical damage. It's just great. I don't know, goes forward here with kind of a somewhat awkward Ravage, but it's very powerful now with our Aegis and our Cheese. So Rubik gets a great Ravage off here, but it's not really gonna matter. There's not enough damage here, and this fight is really showing off the strength of our lineup. All these auras, all this physical damage that we can dish out here, really paying off. And right now, I've just been pushing with my team. I'm not sure what I was doing here. I guess I'm meeting up with Zeus, and we're gonna push down the mid lane, which is fine too. Of course, great if you can push in 2 lanes at the same time. You also want to get this range racks here, because you want to get megas. We're quite close to that, so that's what we're gonna do here. I should be taking one of these melee creeps. I'm a bit slow on that, so they all die. I've also actually gone for the 800 minimum health talent here, which is great for my creeps. Makes them a lot more durable. So now the big fight is going on, and I'm sending in my creeps here because Mars is on his own. On his own, he's not that scary. You see, he does a good amount of damage to my creeps, but it doesn't kill them. So I can send in my creeps now because there's no mushroom machines coming in, and I just use these to get as much damage into these racks as possible. Meanwhile, staying back with my main hero, just there to save people with Solar Crest, with Glimmer Cape, with 4-staff, and we get the megas, and shortly thereafter we win the game. So if you want to see more Chen content, there's a lot of Chen videos on this channel. I'm going to link 2 here on the screen, and Obolus willing, I'll see you there.